Hi and welcome. This time around, taking a look at a estate sale find my brother-in-law ran across, were these really large American-made C-clamps, beautiful things. Unfortunately, they're all missing the swivels off the ends, and I'm not quite sure why that is. Maybe the gentleman who owned or lady who owned them decided to use them for something else. Maybe they were defective and they all just seem to fail in the same way. That seems unlikely. But we're going to make some new ones, and I've got some drawings here of how these are going to fit. Basically, this ball portion is going to fit into the new swivel, and I'll be using these spiral rings like the ones I reviewed from Smalley, and they will basically clip inside from behind and prevent it from falling out. And to do the hemispherical cut, I've got a couple of end mills here, solid carbide end mills that are ball end, and we're going to try and get away with this without too much chatter and see if we can pull off those hemispheres that we need on the end here so that they'll pivot somewhat nicely. The ends of these are sort of rough, and I think the manufacturer intended that, but in any case I think they, that gives them a little bit of friction. They'll sort of lock in place, or maybe that was just as nicely as they cared to do it. In any case, we're going to take this piece of 1144 stress proof that I've got, and we're going to try and make some of these. I wanted to use 4140 chromoly, but I didn't have any of the right diameter. So let's head over to the lathe and see what we can do. First up, we're just going to face this part. 1144 stress proof produces really nice chips. You can see those really nice little turnings there. First up, we're just going to do this outer diameter, and only needs to go in less than 1/4 of an inch at this diameter. So we just got to reduce the diameter pretty quickly here, and we're going to take some big bites. Alright, so we're going to lock this off at 0.195. And we're going to hand feed in. Okay. Alright, next up. This is going to be a challenging bit because I'm going to try and use a radius cutter to cut a radius out of this. And it may not work out so well. I am going to be taking a really large bite, a lot of engagement with the side, so we'll see if it works out. I have my height checker here, and we're setting this up at the right height, and I've got it just tiny bit below center, and this is a huge area of engagement on here. To try and avoid chatter, we're slowing this way down. So I'm sure it's going to be fine until we start engaging like 3 yards of material. I mean 3 yards of cutter. I gotta say that's going much, much better than I ever expected. Ah, there's the chatter. That's actually pretty good considering it took all the way to get to there to get chatter. So we're going to slow it down another few notches here. That was 300 RPM. We're going to go to 110 RPM. And I probably could use more lube than this. We found the chatter zone again. Pretty freaking impressive, really. Let's just slow it right down all the way to 70. See if we can pull this off here. Almost. Talk about a huge area of engagement. All right. I think I'll buy that. I didn't think I'd get that far. I'm really impressed, especially with that chatter. The carbide is not going to appreciate that at all. And I will clean this up manually. So I'm first going to set my zero with this 15 thousandths shim stock. So I'm going to make that my zero. And then I'm going to walk in another 15 thousandths to compensate for the thickness of the shim stock. And we will re-zero. Final pass. Just cleaned up the bottom there. All right, so here is the smaller clamp ball end, and look at that. What a nice fit, and boy, is that smooth. That went a heck of a lot better than I thought it was going to. Next up, we got to put a 25 thousandths groove just inside here to hold the spiral clip in, and then we part off this end, and that'll be that. And I got to make 3 more after this. All right, so we got this tiny little boring bar with 29 thousandths width. The ring I'm going to put in is 25 thousandths. That gives me 4 thousandths clearance. I'm going to just try and touch off on the edge here, very gently. I hear that. We're going to call that my zero. And we need to go in a little over 50 thousandths. And there we are. All right, done. So I'm going to blow this out, and we should have one really nice lamp holder. I don't know, that's not terribly deep in there, but this ring's not going to have much force on it. The only job of this little spiral clip is to keep this guy from falling off from gravity or whatever, but most of the force is going to be pushing straight on the ball. Next step, we're just going to part this guy off. And I'm just walking this in by hand here. And there we are. All right, so here's the final product, and I put 2 of them on. I'm not sure that this kind of spiral retaining ring is ideal for situations where you have 2 lips so close to each other, because trying to get it in that small space is tough. Because the first thing you've got to do is put it over the ball, get it on the back side of the ball, because it's the inside diameter smaller than the ball. Then you put the part on, and then you got to feed it into the groove. Anyways, it's doable. The first one took me like 40 minutes, and the second one went really quickly. After I sort of figured out the technique, what I did was split this apart and I used 2 small screwdrivers, and I just got the edge of this started in the groove and then walked the screwdriver around while keeping it up against the groove, and walked the screwdriver around and it popped right in. So I'm going to pop over here, see it won't fit over this, which is good because otherwise it wouldn't have any function at all. Its job is to keep this part on there. So I don't know if you can see this, but just gonna split this guy and pop it over, and you can just walk it around. That's how you walk it in, same way. And then the part goes on, the foot goes on. By the way, in case you're wondering, I did surface grind these. I thought it would be pretty, and I need practice surface grinding. So I was taking 1,500 steps, pretty big bites, but pretty nice finish though, even considering. And this is soft, unhardened material. So the wheel I'm using apparently is not ideal for softer steels. So the way I've gotten the last couple in, the last one went in really nicely, is you pop this guy in the groove and you walk it around. With the smaller ones, it was a lot harder, I gotta admit, than this one. Even getting it into the groove was tough because the clearances were less. One thing I will say, these will not be easy to get out if you have to, but I don't expect that you'll ever actually have to remove these, so I don't think that'll be too bad. And we're done. That was a little bit harder than the last big one, but overall not too bad at all. There we go. Very nice. Well, I think the project turned out great. I'm very pleased with the results. The spiral rings took some getting used to. The first one, like I said, took like 45 minutes, and then after that they were like a couple minutes each. They were pretty quick. The small ones were much harder than the big ones because there's so little working space in there, especially when you have the jaw, the moving press foot pushed all the way back. There's really very little room. But I think they turned out really great. This, I think it's 1144 stress proof, really turned nicely. Hopefully it will work well. I didn't have any chromoly, which is what I wanted to use, but at least in this diameter. So anyways, overall I think the project turned out really good, and things improved as I got later on. Like this one, I've got a little line there, and this one's a really nice blend. This was my final one. So anyways, I think overall I got some really nice clamps, C-clamps out of this, and it was a fun project to do. Thanks for watching. I enjoyed it. I hope you did too. See you next time.